then, how could you guys just say x plus y equals 0 in English? Their sum is 0. Very good. The sum of the two numbers is 0. I like that a lot. Nice. The sum of the numbers is 0. Okay? Nice and easy, right, guys? That's not the only way you could write. Okay? There's a multitude of ways that you guys could write this, and I don't have any problem with it. Okay? As long as you're not using symbols and you keep the intent of the original statement.
Can you go over again why we say for all other real numbers?
Oh, because
for situations when we're using different.
Yeah, because we have two different variables. So you just want to make sure that somebody that's looking at that doesn't say that they're using the same real number. Okay?
So wouldn't it mean, because that to me is saying that you have one real number, but every other real number but it added to it.
Yeah,
is 0.
that's sort of
So
what I'm
that
saying.
wouldn't it,
Such
wouldn't
for
it
all-
such that there is another real number,
Okay. So we can say such that
another real number.
we could just say instead of for all other numbers, for another real number. Okay, that's fine. Okay, it's just the intent. I think the way that you're putting it is a little more specific, and it doesn't negate the fact that you could reuse the same number. Okay, which is fine with me. Okay. All right. Other questions, guys, or comments? Okay. For the second one, for all x and z exists y and z, such that x over y is not in z. Okay. So if I was to, I guess, alliterate this or to write this out, what's the first part of that, guys?
For all integers.
So for all integers, right?
Mhm.
So for all integers, good, comma. There exists another integer. Okay, I think that's a good way of putting it. Okay, there exists another integer. Such that
The division is not zero. When they're divided, they don't count to an integer.
their quotient does not yield an integer, maybe,
Okay.
or something like that. Okay,
Okay.
Well, if you wrote that, that's perfectly fine. Okay, such that the quotient of the two numbers does not yield an integer. Okay, such that their quotient does not yield, render, produce, gimme, an integer. Okay. Nice and easy, right, guys? Not difficult.
How do you specify what's being divided by what?
Generally, when you read this, like, you'd assume the first, like, it just goes from left to right, okay? But you could just say the first divided by the second, okay?
But like, is it okay to just assume?
Oh yeah, I'd be lax with that, yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, most people that would read this, especially mathematicians, they work in the order of operations. They'd assume that you were going from left to right, okay? I can't really imagine anyone going the other way. In fact, it would be more difficult for me to imagine. Okay, that's fine. And I get what you're saying. Like, you just want to make sure you're writing it correctly, okay? All right. Other questions, guys? Good stuff. Oh, go ahead.
Not about this, but what were you talking about when I walked in? Something about a different day or something?
No, I see, the assignment 3.
Oh,
I think we were talking about, I might make assignment 3 due after the examination, so that way you guys don't feel rushed to do that, so I'm leaning more towards doing that than the other. Okay, that's all we were talking about. All right, other questions, guys, I can answer? Okay, so let's go ahead and try to do the opposite, okay? Let's try to write these as multiple quantifiers. Okay. So, every real number has an opposite. Okay? So, and remember, we want to write these with multiple quantifiers. Okay? So, that would be not so much fun. Okay? So, does anybody think they might know, like, since it starts with every, okay, what do you guys suspect we would start the statement with? Yeah, for all x in real numbers, right? So I think that that's a good way to start it. So for all x in real numbers, comma, there exists a y in the real numbers are good. Such that one. Then there's a number of different ways to write it.
Inverse.
Not inverse, okay? It's opposite. Inverse is different than opposite. Inverse is usually the reciprocal.
Okay.
You have to be careful.
Such that y is the opposite of x.
Y equals negative x? Yeah, sure, I like that. So y equals negative x. Okay, I think that's a really good way to write it. In fact, that's the way I was thinking of it. Not that my way is the best way, but it's just one way.
Would it have been wrong if you put x equals negative y?
Sure, that's fine with me, because if you solved it either way, right?
Mhm.
So it doesn't matter, they're both mathematically equivalent.
When you do something like this, you want to be able to put the two variables x and y.
Correct. Because that's this right here. This is your p of x comma y, right?
Got it.
Remember, when you have a multiple quantifier, that means you have to have a predicate that has two variables in it. Okay? Good question. Or good comment. You didn't ask me anything, but you just told me. And you told me something right. That's good. Okay. Some dogs do not like treats. Why do we keep doing bad things that dogs do? Poor dog. Alright. We would certainly use the backward e. So there exists x in dogs. Okay. Such that for all y in what domain, guys?
Dog.
Treats,
Treat.
right? Okay, so definitely a weird one, but. So, there exists x in dogs, such that for all y in treats, how do we finish it off? We can't use an equal or a greater than or anything.
X does not like y.
Yeah, x does not like y. Okay, that's all we can do with that. Okay, so we would say x does not like y. Okay. So if it's a mathematical statement, we're probably more inclined to write it out. Okay, if it's just one of these types, then we're still with it. Okay. Okay. One more time.
It's a good thing you don't care.
Oh yeah, definitely not. I feel bad. My dog loves treats. I would never do that.
Every dog
likes
likes a treat for every dog.
That's true. Every dog likes different treats, but not all treats. Okay. Guys, any questions I can answer about these multiple quantifiers? We're going to finish up the last part with multiple quantifiers next time. Then we're going to take a look at universal modus ponens and tollens. So I think that'll take us like maybe about 35, 40 minutes at most. Then we'll spend the rest of the time reviewing for the examination. Okay? So over the weekend, guys, try to work on assignment number 3. You can pretty much do almost all of it except for maybe the last 4 questions or so. And then if you guys have questions for me on Monday, we can answer them.
Now, are you going to be bringing out the solution for the exam 1? Not solution, sorry. The one that you posted, the review?
I'm going to try to, okay? So it depends on how busy I am this weekend.
Okay.
as usual.
What are the rules?